This video shows the dimensioning of the Geneva Cam drawing. If you have previously started watching this video, you may notice that it is a little bit different and it has changed. I've uploaded a new video to take into account the bug that I pointed out in class on Wednesday. So let's get right down into the dimensioning. So the first thing we're going to do is let's go into AutoCAD, and we need to be in Geneva Cam 2, which doesn't have any dimensioning yet. And we're going to go into our dimension style, and we're going to, in our standard dimension style, we're going to modify. In primary units, we're going to set the precision to 2 decimal places. And hit OK. We're also going to set up a new style, and we're going to call this new style internal arrows. And this is necessary to show the internal arrows within our circles. So we're going to start with our standard. And then within the fit, we need to check off this draw dimension line between external lines. And I'm going to show you what the bug is. Excuse me. If you look at the drawing right here, you can see right now that we only have this one arrow. So we have a line internal, but it's not quite complete. We don't have any arrows internal. Now if I check here, always keep text between external lines. What happens is nothing. And that's what the bug is. Now if I first click on text and then choose always keep text between external lines, then you see the text actually moves to the middle. And for some reason this affects the arrows internal to the circle. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it does. So this is what you need to do. You need to check on text first, and then always keep text between external lines. So we click OK, and then we want to actually start with the standard dimension style, and then click Close. Now, while we're still in center line, and if you've left off from where you completed the drawing and we just drew in the center lines, you should still be in the center line position. If not, go ahead and choose center line. We need to add an arc over here corresponding to that 4.5 inch circle. So what I'm going to do first is turn my construction lines back on so we can see all my construction lines, and then I'm going to add an arc. This is a start, center, end, using a center line, and I'm going to start it from this point. That'll be my start, and then I'm going to go make sure I click my center, and then my end, I will end it at that point there. And we'll be using that arc to set up our dimension for this radius here. Okay, so once we do that, we can go ahead and turn off our construction lines, get them out of the way so that we're not confused by all those extra lines running around. All right, so we're just going to start dimensioning, and we'll, excuse me, before we start dimensioning, we want to set up our dimension layer. we want to go into our dimension layer. And I'm going to set the width here. And the width is 0.5. And okay, so I did not actually set my layer properly. Excuse me, I didn't set my dimension style properly. And I left it in my new style. So not only do you have to, and I think I mentioned this before, not only do you have to select standard, but then you have to choose set current. Once you choose set current, then you will in fact be in that layer. And you can actually look down here and it will show you. So now I can hit close. I want to delete this dimension. And then I can redo it. So I'm going to do that dimension here. I'm going to do repeat linear dimension. I can do this dimension here. I can do the full 8-inch width. I can do the 2.5, or excuse me, yeah, the 2.5-inch width here. I need to come over here and do the 0.5-inch width of that opening. And then I want to come do the radius dimension of this 0.25-inch radius. So I can select this little arc. Right there. Click on it and I get my R 0.25. I'm going to just go back and take a quick look at my drawing here. And we see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 dimensions here. We have then the 0.5, and every other dimension is a radius dimension. Let's go back. 1, 2, 3, 4 plus that one. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus that one. Okay, missed one as I was counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus the one down here. Okay. All right, so we're ready to continue on. Okay, so now at this point, we want to change our dimension style. And the easiest way to change dimension style, you don't actually have to go into format and choose dimension style. You can actually do it right here. So here we can go to standard and choose new style. And taking another quick look back at our drawing, we have a 4-inch diameter of the bolt circle, just telling us about the depth of those holes, and then the internal 1.5 inches. So let's go ahead and do those two. So we're going to choose circle diameter. And now you can see okay, so we have something a little weird going on here. And I think this probably has to do with the setting where the name is coming out in the middle. Excuse me, the dimension is coming out in the middle instead of coming off a leader. And we can change that in our dimension style. However, before we do that, let's do the following. Let's do this dimension over here, because this dimension here actually does need to be that way. So that particular dimension is going to be a radius dimension, and it will be this one here. And we can click on this radius, and it's in the R1.5. We can put that in just like that. And at that point, then, we can come back, and I think we need to actually change our dimension style to not keep the text between internal lines. We can choose place text manually. And I think I may have a setting that I've changed earlier as I was adjusting this. So I'm going to look at the properties. On your drawing, this may come out perfectly normal. And these are some of if you recall, the properties I was looking at in class. Yeah, this keep dimension line with text. So we can move text no leader. Move text add leader. So when we move text add leader, we can pull it out like this. And I think this actually this now illustrates that bug again. And I believe now if we go back into dimension style, or we delete this and then redo it. Yeah, if we then redo it, it'll come out proper. So that was due to the setting that I had previously. All right, so I'm going to put this one over here because it keeps us from conflicting at all with this keyway. It makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so the second one we need to do then is this internal circle. Remember, we don't have to do this second one because that's done over here. So repeat the diameter. We come over here and we pull that one out. We have to do the arc over here, and we can do that by selecting arc, and then we select this line and that line, and then we just pull it up and we get our 60-degree angle. And then our keyway we can set by pulling out a leader, and within dimensions we can grab a leader here, and if you recall in class Wednesday, the leader in class started with the arrow, and here the leader is starting with the landing location. So the landing location is where my text is going to be. So I'm going to actually start the leader up here, and then I'm going to bring it down to the arrowhead, like that, like so. And now I have my text box, and then within my text box I need to type my 0.36 times 0.20 keyway. So 0.36 times 0.20 keyway. And I believe that completes our drawing. We should count our dimensions: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if we want to count this one on the bottom, that would be 6. Let's go back to our drawing and count 1, 2, 3. We're actually missing this one, but so we should have 7 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, we have to add this R 4.5 coming out to that phantom arc that we put in. So let's add that in. And there we want to make sure, again, we want to try to minimize crossing and conflict. So maybe we want to move this up like this, and there that gives us room to put this in right here. So we can choose our dimension, and then we click here, and this is coming out as a diameter, but we want it as a radius. Since we want it as a radius, we have to choose the radius dimensioning, like so. And then to make it such that it goes to the other side, let's just confirm that it does that. No, actually the radius dimension does not. The radius dimension only goes from the, obviously, because it's not a diameter, it only goes from the center to the edge. So that completes the drawing. That gives us all the dimensions. Now, you can look at this and say, this is certainly crowded and this is noisy. And you sort of could ask yourself, well, would I be better off if I put I could take, for instance, the 1.5 inch opening and I could put it here. And the answer to that is no. And the reason for that is you don't generally want to dimension hidden lines. So even though this adding all these dimensions and these holes here makes it less clear, it's more proper. So it gets, I shouldn't say less clear, just a little more congested. It's more correct. You would not want to, actually there is an easy way, for instance, to do this 4-inch diameter, since every single one of these represents one of the arcs of the 4-inch diameter. So it's actually impossible to do that. You could do the 1.5 by bringing it out this way. There's no way to do the keyway. You know, you could do this at 0.2 inches, but that's crazy. It really doesn't help you. So this is really the best and safest way to do it. You can rotate these around in some ways. Does it make some ways may make it clearer versus noisier? Yes. And perhaps as they've done it, this maybe is better, because that prevents us from having two dimensions within this quadrant over here. It's all how you decide you like to look at it. I certainly wouldn't take off points if you put this here versus really anywhere. I mean, the thing you wouldn't want to do is you generally wouldn't want to put it. You know, you wouldn't want to do something like that. That makes it look very messy and makes it look complicated. But this is fine. You wouldn't want to also have it crossing like that. Certainly that's fine. Okay, so at this point you could save your drawing and you are done.